Hi everyone, I am so excited to get started on this video for you guys for our crochet along that's coming up. It is called the Knot Knit Weekend Cal. And of course the pattern will always be available on the website. There it is with the brim folded up. You may have seen pictures of it around, but here it is. So I'm going to walk you guys through it. I'll probably do a couple different videos and just stop it at the parts where I'm going to be making the rest of the hat so I can show you guys how to sew it together and all of that. But of course, before we start a pattern, you always want to read through the pattern notes. And while I'm going to make some chains and then talk about the notes a little bit. So this pattern is very versatile. You can use any yarn and hook combo you would like. Of course, just be aware, like any other pattern in the crochet and knit verse, right? If you stray from the original yarn, hook, or gauge in a pattern, you're going to have a different result than the original, which I think we all know that, but sometimes things don't work out how we want. Don't let that deter you from being adventurous and finding some great yarn and just trying this pattern out with it. I think it will be pretty awesome. So this hat is worked sideways. So it's worked this way, back and forth in rows. Then it's sewn together, and then the top is closed afterwards. So that's how we get this curled brim, because crocheted rows on the end, they curl naturally. This can also be folded up afterwards. This hat has a lot of negative ease, which crochet doesn't usually lend itself to, but because of the way that the stitches are done, it stretches out and you don't get a lot of holes. I mean, there's little spaces there. And it has a lot of stretch this way as well. So just keep that in mind. It's going to look a little smaller than your maybe typical crochet hat when you're done, but then it's going to stretch out because of that negative ease. The turn chains, when we're working in rows, they're not going to count as a stitch because we want this faux knit design to come all the way to the end. And if they counted, we'd have a bit of a gap and we'd lose one of those little V's that make it look like a knit stitch. And the rounds closing here at the top add, an inch or two to the end of the hat. So if it looks a little short, just keep that in mind. You can also vary the length of your hat, or the height of it, I'm sorry, by adjusting your initial chains. Just keep in mind a little bit will get added to the end when we do this. We'll talk about how to do the stitches. One more note about row 3 being worked into the third loop of the half double crochet, but I'll read that note when we get to that section, just because it's a little bit different. I am going to be making the child size because I think my daughter would love this hat, and then it will go a little quicker for me today making this video. So in the pattern, on the pattern section, if you're looking at the website, it says create a chain based on which hat size you're making. So if you're doing the adult size, it'd be 9 inches. Child is 8 inches. So I've got my super gold ruler here. I think I've got about 8. I stretch it out just a little bit. My chains tend to be a little tighter than my stitches, so I just didn't want it to get way too big. So we're going to make that many. And then you're going to half double crochet in the third chain from your hook. So the third chain from your hook, this one never counts as anything when it's on your loop. There's 1, 2, 3. My first one is a little small. That's where my thick and thin yarn gets small. So you can kind of see it going up and down, has different varying thicknesses. So half double crochet is yarn over first, and then you're going to go into that third chain, wrap around, and then this one is going to be pulled off your hook. So you have 3 loops. Wrap one more time, and then they all come off. I also have a picture tutorial for this as well, so it could be a little slower. I'll also link to that on the website. So one more time, you wrap around, go into the next chain, wrap, pull through the chain, wrap again, and pull through all 3. So the next video we'll talk about working into this first row.